All right, so welcome back. Six current affairs today: West Asia, China's energy strategy, BSF Bangladesh, PM term limits, plastic waste, and Kerala's climate ambitions. Now, let's go. First of all, we have the US Iran tensions, India's West Asia Balancing Act. Now, US Iran tensions are persisting following the March 2026 bombing of Iran's Kurd islands oil terminal and the death of Supreme Leader Khamenei. India is under increasing pressure from both Washington and Tehran to take sides, while simultaneously trying to protect its energy supplies, 9 million Gulf diaspora, and Chabahar port access. Now, the Gulf region supplies nearly two-thirds of India's oil, and the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran controls from the north, is the single choke point through which most of this passes. 9 million Indians live in the GCC countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, Bahrain, and send home approximately $40 billion every year, the single largest remittance corridor India has. Now, India has invested in Chabahar port in Iran as its gateway to Afghanistan and Central Asia, bypassing Pakistan. A 10-year operational contract was signed in 2024. Strait of Hormuz is a 21-mile waterway. About 20% of the global oil trade passes through it. Strategic autonomy is India's foreign policy of independent decision making across rival powers. Chabahar Port is the India operated port in Iran. SPR is the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, India's buffer, 9 to 10 days cover. Target is 30 days. JCPOA is the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. US withdrew 2018, triggered current sanctions regime. Kharg Island is the Iran's primary oil export terminal, handles 90% of Iran's crude exports. Then we have the China's energy security strategy. Now, China's comprehensive energy security strategy, combining dominance in renewable technology manufacturing, Belt and Road energy investments, and the world's largest strategic petroleum reserve, is reshaping global energy geopolitics. This directly impacts India's renewable energy targets, its critical mineral supply, and neighborhood strategic competition with China. Now, China didn't achieve this by accident. 2 decades of state subsidies, domestic scale, and integrated supply chain control from raw silicon to finished module made Chinese solar panels 40 to 50% cheaper than the Western alternatives. China has financed and built power plants in Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka through Belt and Road, creating energy infrastructure dependencies through India's periphery. India's production link incentive scheme for solar manufacturing is the right response, but building a full domestic solar supply chain takes years. In the meantime, India must import Chinese components or delay its clean energy transition. Kabil, Khanij Bidesh India Limited, is India's vehicle for acquiring overseas critical mineral stakes to reduce this dependence over time. Malacca dilemma is China's fear that US could blockade its oil imports at the Strait of Malacca. Critical minerals is the lithium, cobalt, rare earths, essential for EVs, batteries, or solar panels. Kabil is the Khanij Bidesh India Limited, India's overseas mineral acquisition vehicle. BRI is the Belt and Road Initiative, China's global infrastructure investment framework. And National Critical Mineral Mission is India's 2024 framework for domestic and overseas mineral security. PLI for solar is the India's production link incentive to build domestic solar manufacturing capacity. Then we have the BSF and Bangladesh Frontier. Now, Bangladesh interim government under Muhammad Yunus, who took over after Sheikh Hasina fled to India in August 2024, has sharply escalated criticism of BSF killings along the 4156 kilometer India Bangladesh frontier. Dhaka is demanding accountability for what it calls shoot to kill operations, while India frames its border actions as necessary responses to cattle smuggling, illegal crossings, and Rohingya infiltration pressure. Now, the India Bangladesh border is India's longest land boundary with any single country, passing through West Bengal, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. Approximately 1370 km remains unfenced, primarily riverine sections, making it highly porous. Now, Hasina government maintained close ties with India and managed BSF friction quietly through diplomatic channels. The Yunus government had no such political incentive to absorb criticism domestically, making the BSF killings a publicly contested bilateral issue for the first time at this scale. Now, Bangladesh hosts approximately 1 million Rohingya in Cox's Bazar camps, the world's largest refugee concentration. As conditions in the camps deteriorate, pressure for onward movement to India increases. India is not a signatory to the 1951 Refugee Convention, but is bound by customary international laws. non-refoulement principle. BSF Act 1968, it establishes BSF, Primary Border Force for Pakistan and Bangladesh Frontiers. CIBMS is the Comprehensive Integrated Border Management System, Smart Border Sensors and Surveillance. Land Boundary Agreement 2015 is the India-Bangladesh exchange of 162 enclaves, and the pushback operations is returning illegal crossers without formal arrest or due process. Muhammad Yunus is head of Bangladesh interim government since August 2024, and non-refoulement is international law principle, cannot return persons to places where they face serious harm. Then we have the PM term limit debate. The debate over whether India needs a constitutional limit on the prime minister's term, analogous to the US 22nd Amendment's two-term limit on the president, has returned to a public discourse. Currently, a PM serves as long as they command, a Lok Sabha majority with no maximum time limit. Now, Article 74 and 75 of the Constitution make the PM the head of the Council of the Ministers, accountable to Lok Sabha through collective responsibility. The moment the PM loses Lok Sabha confidence, they must resign. In the Westminster model, the legislature is the term limit, not a constitutional law. Not a constitutional clock. Jawaharlal Nehru served 16 years. Indira Gandhi served 15 years in total. The US 22nd Amendment exists because the US President is directly elected and not accountable to Congress on a day to day basis. So, fixed term is the only check. India's PM is continuously accountable to the Lok Sabha majority, making term limits structurally redundant in theory. Now, the problem rises when that majority is captive, when party discipline eliminates genuine legislative accountability. Article 74, Council of Ministers with PM at head, advises President, President acts on their advice. Article 75, PM appointed by President, collective responsibility to Lok Sabha. 22nd Amendment, 1951, two-term presidential limit, passed through FDR's four terms. Westminster model, parliamentary democracy, PM accountable to legislature, not fixed time. And 44th Amendment, 1978, reversed emergency era concentration of PM powers. Then we have the plastic waste rules, NEPR. India's extended producer responsibility framework, mandated under the Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rules 2022, is being actively monitored, with CPCB tracking compliance from producers, importers, and brand owners. The EPR framework and the July 2022 single-use plastic ban are India's primary legislative tools against plastic pollution, but implementation gaps remain significant. Now, India produces approximately 3.5 million tons of plastic waste annually, of which about 60% is collected and only 30% is formally recycled. The rest goes to landfills, water bodies, or is burnt. The informal sector, 4 to 7 million waste pickers, collects the bulk of recyclable plastics but is largely excluded from the formal EPR certificate system. Now, the under EPR, a company placing 10,000 tons of plastic packaging on the Indian market must ensure 10,000 tons of equivalent plastic is collected and processed, either directly or by purchasing EPR certificates from registered cyclers via CPCB's portal. Now, the shift now this shifts the cost of plastic waste management from municipalities to the companies profiting from plastic packaging. The July 1, 2022 ban covers 19 single-use plastic items, earbuds, straws, cutlery, plates, and cups below 100 micron, polystyrene decoration. Critically, plastic water bottles and FMCG flexible packaging, which constitute most of the India's plastic waste by weight, are not banned. The ban visible low impact im- addressed visible low impact plastic while leaving the structural waste challenge untouched. So the PWM rules 2016 is the Plastic Waste Management Rules based regulation under EPA 1986. Then extended producer responsibility makes producers responsible for their plastics sent to end of life. CPCB EPR portal is the online portal where PIBOs register and demonstrate compliance. SUP ban is the 19 single-use plastic items prohibited from July 1, 2022, and MLP is the multi-layered plastic, multiple material layers, not recyclable, phase out pending, and UNEP INC is the UN negotiations for a global plastics treaty. No final agreement yet. Then we have the Kerala's green ambitions. Kerala has outlined updated climate and green energy ambitions, positioning itself as India's leading state on climate action, backed by a track record of post 2018 flood reconstruction and ongoing Western Ghats conservation battles. Now, the state's experience illustrates both the potential and the limits of subnational climate leadership within India's federal system. Now, Kerala's 2018 floods, the worst in 100 years, killed over 480 people and caused 40,000 crores in damages. The Wayanad landslides of July 2024 added 400 more deaths in the areas, the Gadgil report, and flagged for strict ecological protection back in 2011. Kerala is not theorizing about climate risk, it is experiencing it in real time. Now, the Gadgil report recommended 64% of the Western Ghats as ecologically sensitive area. States rejected it as too restrictive. The Kasturi Rangan revision 2013 brought it to 37%, still not notified as of 2026. The Wayanad landslides occurred in the zones Gadgil had designated for no new construction. Now, Western Ghats UNESCO is the World Heritage Site, 8 global biodiversity hotspots, and 6 Indian states. Gadgil report is a 2011, 64% ESA recommended, rejected by states. Kasturi Ranjan report is a 2013, 37% ESA recommended, still not notified. ESA is the ecological sensitive area, restricts mining, quarrying, or new construction. And SAPCC is the State Action Plans on Climate Change, mandated under NAPCC 2008. And KSEB is the Kerala State Electricity Board, central to Kerala's renewable energy push. So, six done. West Asia, China Energy, BSF Bangladesh, PM term limits, plastic EPR, and Kerala. So, keywords important. See you tomorrow.